Welcome back to our C Sharp beginner tutorial. Before we start this class, I just realized while I was reviewing the previous lesson where we talked about namespaces, I was trying to show you how you could search for, the namespace of classes in Microsoft Documentation Network (MSDN). And I kept saying, I just realized I kept saying enumerator, which I enumerator, which is not what I actually meant. So I kept saying I enumerator when I actually meant I enumerable. So I don't know if I enumerator actually exists in .NET, but I do know, I think this is an interface in the Unity engine. So Unity engine is an engine you actually use for making games, and I enumerable is what I wanted to say. It's an interface that comes bundled in .NET framework. Okay, so the .NET framework is Microsoft's framework that comes in Windows. So all the programs we've been writing, we've been always using the .NET framework. Okay, so IEnumerable is an interface, and it's the interface I wanted to tell you about. So if you go to Microsoft MSDN, you might not be able to find IEnumerator. However, this IEnumerable is the interface that I'm sure you will find in MSDN. Okay. That's that for that. In today's lesson, we're going to look at. Oh, shouldn't have closed Notepad. Let's bring it back up. In today's lesson, we're going to look at enumerations. Okay. From the name enumerations, you would be thinking it has something to do with IEnumerable or enumerators, and I'll tell you, no, they have nothing to do with IEnumerable. Okay, maybe in the what they try to achieve has something similar to IEnumerable, in the sense that you kind of enumerate things, but they're actually two different things entirely. So we're going to look at enumerations today, and we'll see what they are all about. Okay, let's go ahead and start Visual Studio. And for this class, I'm going to create a new project. Okay, we're still using console applications. Okay, I'm thinking maybe throughout the beginner tutorials will be using console application, but at some point, maybe in the last two classes or three classes, we'll switch to Windows application, just to show you some graphical content. So it's not all about just writing text output. Okay, we're going to, yeah, I think for beginner tutorials, towards the ending, we're going to look at using Microsoft Windows Forms. I don't know if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. Windows Forms application, this one. But for now, we'll stick to our console application, and click on next. I'll call it enumeration, or enums. We just call it enums basics. Okay, and I'll choose I'll choose the location. Let's put it in our desktop, where we usually keep all our what's the desktop? Okay, my apps folder, and I'll create a folder called enums basics. Okay, and we'll use that folder. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that project. Okay, so what are enumerations? Okay, I think the easiest or the basic explanation I can give you is enumerations are they are like would you okay ideally they are types, okay. Remember types, types, that I told you should know they exist. They are a different category of types, and all they do is they just try to create definition for some type of domain. I don't know if that's going to make any sense to you. Anyway, what would make sense to you is imagine. Okay, let me give you a practical example. What actually happened to me? This is actually true. A while back or a long time ago, while I was using the basic programming language, I wanted to create a chess interface, like a chess game interface. That's a game where, let me bring up my card. Um, so for those of you that know chess, is a game that comprises that it's played on a board. It's a board game, and it usually has pieces, and the pieces that are there are, well, there are two basic category of pieces. There are the white pieces and there are black pieces. Sorry about that. I'll just silence that. So there are white pieces and there are black pieces, okay? And apart from the white and black, the basic types of the pieces. So these are the color, the different color that the pieces come in. Then also, the basic types of the pieces are there's a king, there's a queen, there's a bishop, okay, and there's a knight, there's a rook, and finally there's a pawn, okay. There's a pawn. Okay, so there are all these different types of pieces, and each king can either come in as a white colored king or a black colored king, okay. And for each of these pieces, they could be either white or black, okay. So in essence, what I was trying to do is I wanted to create a piece class, okay. So I wanted a piece class that allows me to create any type of piece. So it could be a white king or a white queen or a black queen or black bishop, okay. So that's the whole idea of what I wanted to achieve with that class. Anyway, in the basic programming language, obviously there are no classes, but there was some implementation. There was some way you could kind of create something that gives you the look of a class, okay. Anyway, that's not the whole point. The whole point I'm trying to make is, you see, in creating these different category of things, I'm going to need some kind of I wouldn't say variable, okay. I needed some kind of say type, okay. I needed some kind of type that will tell me if that piece is white and if that piece is black, okay. I also needed another different type that would tell me if that piece is a king, a queen, a bishop, a knight, a rook, or a pawn, okay. And also I needed to be able to always check if that king is if that piece is a king or it's a bishop, okay. So that's the whole that's the whole should I say domain, okay. I needed something that gives me these possibilities, okay. Now I at that time I didn't know that what I needed was an inner. Okay, so what I ended up creating is something like this. Okay, so in my program I had, let me just keep it down in notepad. I said, okay, wherever I needed a king, I'm going to assign the value 0. Sorry, the value 0. Okay, so anywhere I see the value 0, I know that it represents a king. Okay, and anywhere I see the value 1, um, it represents a queen. Okay, like that. So the king I gave value 1, value 0, sorry, value 0. The queen I gave value 1. The bishop value 2. This value 3. This value 4. This value 5. And I used integers. Okay, I used ints to store those. I use ints as the data type that holds those types. Okay, so inside my int, so in my programming here, if I declare, okay, inside the main program, if I declare, say, int, say some variable, let's say some piece. Okay, some piece equals 0, for example. I'm just giving an example. Now, by setting this some piece to be 0, this piece automatically represents a king. Okay, it means that I'm representing a king. Okay, now if I say int some other piece equals 1, you realize that this some other piece now represents a queen because the value is 1. Okay, so in essence that was the way I implemented it in that program that I remember. That's the way I implemented it. And the problem with doing something like that is that at at some point in your program you begin to forget. Okay, you begin to forget, oh, which value did I use for a king? So for example, in my program, let's say I say in some piece, okay, equals 0. Okay, and then after some computation, all these are some implementation. Okay, somewhere down there I want to check if this piece is a bishop, for example. I want to check if it is a bishop. So what I need to do is I need to say if some piece equals, now I need to provide the value that holds, that represents a bishop. Okay, and what I keep forgetting is at some point I will forget the value that represents a bishop. Okay, so I have to go back to my notes and then check, oh, the bishop is represented by 2. I have to then go back to the notes and then come back and use 2 here. Okay, if some piece equals to, meaning if the piece is a bishop, then I go ahead and do my implementation of the code I'm trying to achieve. Okay, that's, the code is not our problem. The main thing I want to stress out is that, you see, whenever I want to test if that piece is a particular type of piece, I always had to, like, well, not always, but most of the time, I keep forgetting the value that was representing that piece. So I had to go back to my notes. Okay, now one way I could have done this later on, I realized one way I could have done it is I could have sat down at the beginning of the program and do something like this and say int king equals 0. Okay, int queen equals 1, int bishop, sorry, let's use small letters, bishop equals 2, int knight equals 3, int rook equals 4 and int pawn equals 5. Okay, so by doing this at the beginning of my program, right, now I can always and then finally later at some point in my implementation I create this piece. Sorry, I'll remove that. I create this piece int piece some piece equals. Now, notice what I can do here. I can immediately just use whatever, instead of using 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I want a king, I'll just say king. Okay, I'll just say king. How convenient is this? I don't have to remember the value that is used for a king. Okay, also, if I want to test if the piece is a bishop, for example, here, let's say in this implementation, if the piece is a bishop, something needs to occur here. Okay, instead of using equal and then going back to my notes and looking for what stands for a bishop, I could just use bishop here. Okay, if some piece equals bishop and just write my code. You can see how easy it is for me, or how convenient it is for me to program in this way. As long as I have created this domain that stores the values of each of the different types of pieces, I can always go ahead. I don't have to remember what value is stored for which piece. I can just go ahead and be using the pieces. Okay, now, believe it or not, this definition or this creation of this domain that holds the different types of pieces is exactly what enumerations do for you. So that is what enumerations do, exactly the way you see it that way. Okay, enumerations are actually create domain of some possibilities. Okay, they create domain of some possibilities. Sorry, that's not the spelling of possibilities. Possibilities stored as integers. Okay, stored as integers. So the way I store them as ints here, that's exactly the way enumerations do. Okay, they just create that domain of possibilities and they store them as integers. And instead of you using the integers, they give you good names. Okay, well, you actually decide what names you want, and you are able to use those names instead of using the literal integers. So instead of using the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, you go ahead and use the different names that you decide for those enumerations. Okay, also notice that in the piece column, instead of using white or black, or and using maybe 3 for white, 4 for black, or using something like 0 for white, 1 for black, I could use enumerations here, another different enumeration or enum, different from this enum. Okay, I could use two different enums, one for the piece color, one for the piece type. Okay, in fact, in this program, I'll just go ahead and create. We're going to create a class that that holds pieces, and then we're going to use enumerations to to change the different, or to make to give us the possibility of creating the different types of pieces that we have in a chess game. Okay, so right in the class okay, let's just go ahead and create a piece class. Okay, so we're going to add class, and I'm going to call it piece. I'm going to call it let's call it chess piece. Okay, so chess piece, and I click on add. So we've added our chess piece class. Okay, so in a chess piece, remember we have, I'm going to make this a property. Okay, remember we've treated properties, so you shouldn't this shouldn't put you off. Okay, you should know what I'm doing here. I'm just creating a property. I'm going to call it piece color. Piece color. By the way, now the piece color, remember when you're creating a property, it has to have a type. Okay, now for now I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, because we haven't created the type that will hold the piece color. Okay, the type that will hold the piece color is going to be an enumeration or an enum. Okay, maybe we should go ahead and create the enum right here before we create the class. So notice where I'm creating the enumeration. I'm creating it within the enums basics namespace, but not inside the class. Okay, not inside the chess piece class. I'm going to create it here. Okay, I'm going to call it enum. This is how when you're creating it actually uses a small letter E, not a capital E. So you just write the enum keyword, enum, and then a space. Then you write the name you want that enumeration to be called. So in our case, we're going to call it chess piece color. Okay, we're going to call it chess piece color. Or another way to make it shorter, you could just call it piece color. Okay, so you will call it we call it piece color, and then immediately after the identifier or the name of the enum, we open a curly bracket. Okay, now all the different types of piece color, we're going to provide them inside here, and we're not going to put them in quotations, okay, because they are not strings. Okay, they are they are enums. Okay, they are enumerations. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. Since we have white and black, we're going to write white. Notice I'm starting white with a capital W. It's just a convention. You could start it with a small w, doesn't matter, but for convention purposes, I'm starting it with capital W. Then the second type is the black. So if, for example, in a chess game, if we have white pieces, black pieces, red pieces, then we're going to add another red here. Okay, but because in a chess game we only have white and black piece color, so we're going to leave it as white and black. Okay, and that's all. That's how you create. Notice that you do not use a semicolon here. Okay, that's how you create an enum. Okay, so we have created this piece color as an enum. Fine. Next, we're going to create the piece type. Remember, apart from piece color, there's a piece type. You write the piece type and then open your curly bracket. Then here you're going to populate it with all the different types of pieces you can have. So we can have a king, we can have a queen, we can have a bishop, we can have a knight, we can have a rook, and finally we can have a pawn. Okay, so these are the different types of pieces that we can have in a chess game. Then now back to our definition of this chess piece class. Okay, now we want a variable in this chess piece class that holds a piece color. Okay, so remember, this is a chess piece class, meaning we want to use this class to create different types of chess pieces. Okay, now when you create a chess piece, remember it has two properties. It can have a piece color and it can have a piece type. Okay, so for the first property, the piece color, the type of a piece color is this enum. Okay, so I want you to know that this piece color we're typing, that's why I made this with a capital P and a capital C, is different from this piece. This piece color is the particular property for this for the chess piece. Okay, so you write piece color, which is the enum, meaning this piece color, this is the type. Okay, it means that this particular variable has possess is of this type. Okay, meaning it can either be white or black. Okay, so we write public piece color, and you open your bracket. Remember how you create your properties. This is just a property. Okay, and in there you type in your getter and your setter method. So you put in a get and a set. Okay, so that is our let me just put them on the same line. Okay, a get and a set. So this is our piece color property of the piece class. Notice that it is of type. The type for this variable is piece color, an enum. Okay, meaning that this piece color is a particular type of enumeration. Okay. Okay, next we're going to create the property for the type. So the type of whatever we're creating here is of piece type. Okay, so we're going to say piece type, and we're going to call this piece type. Notice this piece type is starting with a small p. Okay, okay, and then we open a bracket and we say get set. Remember what this is doing. We're just creating a property that holds it. Okay, we're just creating a property. Okay, then finally we're going to create our constructor. Okay, our constructor for the chess piece class, and it's going to look like this. Remember, a constructor has the same name as the class, so it's going to be chess piece, and then as arguments it's going to take the first it's going to take the type of the piece color. So the type is going to be piece color, and we can just call it color here. And second type is piece type, and we can just call it I don't want to call it type, let's call it p type. Okay, meaning piece type. Okay, those are the arguments that the constructor is going to take. And then in here, what we do in the initialization of this object, we just take piece color and we set it as whatever color is passed, and we take piece type, what's piece type? This one with small p, and we set it as whatever type is passed here. That's this variable here. So p type. Good. And that's all for our. Okay, maybe for visualization purposes, we'll just create a method here. We'll create one method, display. We'll say display piece, for example. So the display piece is going to be a void method, so it doesn't return anything. And what it does is that it will just display in our console the type of piece this is. Okay, so we're going to say console dot write line, and then we say remember our special type of quotes. You use the $sign when you want to create this special type of string that allows you to concatenate variables without you having to use that plus symbol. Okay, so we're going to say this piece is A, and then we use the brackets to output our variable. Is since we want the color first, so for example, if it's a white king, we expect the color to come first, so we'll say white, and then the name of the piece, piece type. Okay, so if it's a white king, it will just say this piece is a white king. Okay, if it's a black pawn, it will say this piece is a black pawn. Okay, that's what this display piece is just doing. So that is all for our chess piece class. Okay, by doing this, notice the things we've done. We created the enum, the two enums. One enum is the type that holds whether the piece is a white piece or a black piece. Then the second enum is the one that holds whether the piece is a king, a queen, a bishop, a knight, a rook, or a pawn. Okay, and then we created the piece class. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. We go to File, Save All, and then let's go back to our program class where execution starts. Okay, now what I want us to do is notice, by doing this, by creating this piece class and these piece enums, notice how easy it is as a programmer for me to create a chess piece. Okay, suppose I want to create a white king. Notice what I do. I just say chess piece, my piece, or let's say my piece, or let's say piece one equals new piece. That I'm using the new chess piece. I'm using the constructor that I created, and then in here I'm going to pass two enumerators. Notice what it's expecting. It's expecting a piece color here, and it's expecting a piece type here. So the piece color, for me to pass the piece color, notice what I'm going to do. I'll just type piece color dot. Do you notice it just gives me the options? I don't have to start typing piece color dot white or piece color. Also, I don't need to remember the different types of piece colors. Okay, it gives me the options. Now by doing this, it doesn't even give me a room for error. So I'm not even going to there is no possibility for me to provide a piece color that does not exist. Okay, as long as I have created this enum, this piece color enum, it has created the domain for the piece color. So whatever piece color I'm going to create is definitely going to reside within that domain. For example, I cannot create a piece color with red piece now. Notice if I do piece color dot, look at the options I'm getting. Only a black and a white. That's all. Because those are the two different possibilities that exist in a piece color domain. Okay. Also notice for enumerators, notice this icon on the left. Notice the icon. It looks like two tiny windows kind of cascaded. That's wherever you see this, it means that this is an enum. Okay, it's the value of an enum. Okay. Also, notice if I highlight white, notice what it's saying. It's saying piece color dot white equals 0. Okay, meaning that this white, whatever value I provide here, okay, let me just go ahead and use 0 here. Notice that if I use 0 here, it will accept it. It will accept it because piece color is actually stored as enums by default. They are stored as integers. So I can actually pass in an integer here. But I do not suggest this. Please do not do this. Always, for safe purposes, for safety reasons, always use the enum directly. Okay, because that way you cannot make mistakes. Okay, so I type piece color dot white. So remember I said I want to create a white king. Piece color dot white as the color, and then use my comma, and then the piece type, I say piece type dot notice that now I have all the different possible pieces. Okay, so I can just choose the piece type I want. I can just say king, and that's it. I've created my chess king. Okay, so piece one is now a chess king. Sorry, is now a white king. Okay, if I want to create a black pawn, I just say chess piece dot chess piece 2. So we'll create it in a new variable, piece 2 equals new chess piece and I pass in the piece color dot, and I choose black, and then use my comma, and I say piece type dot, and I say pawn. Okay. um Okay, finally, okay, this is how we haven't really done anything. So if we run this program, we might not see anything displayed. So at the end of the program, before we end the program, let's say piece1 dot display piece. So it's going to tell us what piece it is. So we call this method that displays the piece, and we also say piece2 dot display piece. Okay, also remember we always use this console dot write line to separate. So after displaying what piece one is, we would like to give a space. Okay, so we would like the output window to provide a space, and then display the piece 2. So we expect to see piece 1 to be a white king, and piece 2 to be a black pawn. Okay, so let's go ahead and file, save all, and then let's run this program and see what happens. Okay. Hello world. Okay, the hello world is coming from here. I forgot to remove that, so don't worry about that. Let's open up. After the hello world, we see that this piece is a white king. Okay, so piece 1, the piece stored inside piece 1 variable here, you can see, because we use piece 1 dot display piece 1 is a white king as expected, and piece 2 is a black pawn as expected. Okay, so this is what enums are. Also, I think I should show you that apart from this, not just defining or creating the pieces, also maybe in our implement. Okay, let me implement one more thing inside the piece class. Suppose inside this display piece, if it is a pawn, okay, we want it. Okay, let's say it also displays. Okay, if it is a pawn, we would like to say pawns are the basic unit of should we say measurement in chess. Okay, of measuring value, chess piece value in chess. So what we'll do is, you see, we have to check if the piece is a pawn, right? So what we'll do is we'll say if piece type dot if piece type equals, notice the equal sign we're using double equal sign because we want to check if it is equal to. Okay, if piece type equals piece type dot, notice I don't have to remember what number pawn is, even though pawn is stored as integer 5, as number 5. Okay, I don't need to remember that. I just do piece type dot pawn. So this is what I was saying in the introduction of this lesson, when I was saying if you want to compare. Okay, to compare, you can actually compare enums perfectly fine. Okay, so we'll say if the piece is a pawn, it should do console dot write line. So that's an extra thing it will say. It should say pawns are the basic unit of chess piece value measurement. Okay, so whenever we call display piece, right, it will first tell us the name of the piece. Okay, and then if the piece is a pawn, okay, this particular remember our if else statement, this particular statement is only going to execute if the piece is a pawn. Okay, and notice how we achieve that by check in here, okay? And the whole reason I'm writing this is to show you that you can actually do this. You can compare enums like this, okay? So you can say if piece type equals piece type dot com, okay? Let's go ahead and save this, save all, and run our program again. Remember, we created the first piece we created is a king, and the first one is a white king, the second one is a black pawn. So if it's a pawn in this instance, it will tell us, it will give us the extra detail. Let's go ahead and remove this hello world. Okay, I'll save all and I'll run the program again. And we see this piece is a white king. That's the first piece one. Where is it? Piece one dot display piece. That's this first call. This first method call wrote this, and then the second method call piece two dot display piece. Because it is a pawn, first it displays this piece is a black pawn, and then because it is a pawn, it says pawns are the basic unit of chess piece value measurement. Okay, so this is what enums are all about, and this is what they are used for. Okay, they just make, without enums you can still write your code. Okay, like I showed you, you can always decide to store it as integers and then use the integers directly, but that is prone to mistakes. Okay, you can always forget the value. Maybe the value for a pawn is 5, and maybe you forgot and you wrote 6 in your code. That's going to take the pawn to be something else. Okay, but with enums, they make sure that you are always using the correct value. You're always using the correct integer. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end this lesson here, and I'll see you in the next lesson.